Hi everyone. So I made a video for my students about how they can make learning from home a little bit easier based off of what I've learned from working from home. And I thought I would share with you what I have learned about teaching lessons remotely online from the snow days that I've done in the past. And now that we are basically cooped up as if it were, a 4-week snow day, if not more. I thought that I would share with you some things that I have learned to hopefully make your experience better and hopefully help you keep your students and keep them motivated to work and to keep learning so that we don't lose that instruction time that we've put in before. So with that in mind, here we go. The number one, use what you have. Okay? Don't feel like you have to go out and buy equipment and buy software. If you want to look into apps, fine, but you don't have to spend a lot of money to make this work, okay? You will need headphones. I would very strongly recommend that you teach, instead of through a speaker, teach through headphones, because you're not going to hear as much of the artifact of sound that you'll get from each other's speakers going and then also taking in through microphone. But you don't have to spend a lot of money. You probably have a pair of headphones. You probably already have a phone or an iPad or a computer that will support whatever software you're going to use, FaceTime, Zoom, Skype if you need to, but you don't have to spend a lot of money to make this work, okay? Number two, have your setup planned ahead of time. So where are you going to sit? Where's your phone or your iPad or your computer going to be? Make sure that you have all your gear and all your books at arm's length. Have a bottle of water handy, because all the talking that you're going to do, you're going to get thirsty, and it's going to be a little bit awkward to try to get up and move and go get a drink or go get a cup of tea. Just have that handy during your lessons. Okay, next. Stagger your students, all right? Allow 5 to 10 minutes in between your students that I know normally we wouldn't, and I know that pushes out your day a little bit or your block a little bit, but you're gonna need that time to wrap up a phone call with one student and then make sure that the technology is cooperating for the next student in order to give them that 30-minute session without it feeling like, okay, I gotta go now, click. And we want it to be as smooth and as graceful as we can make it be. Yeah, that means that start times will be kind of weird. You'll have some students starting at 3:40 or 6:10, but they will adapt. It'll be okay. They're pretty easygoing. Students are pretty easygoing about that. So stagger your start times by 5 or 10 minutes. Okay. Next, stand up and move between students. Move around. Go get a cup of tea. That cup of tea that you thought about in the last lesson. Go get it. You don't have to physically get up to greet students because they're not physically here. And so the tendency is going to be that you're going to stay seated for longer periods of time. And you're going to get fatigue and you're going to start to get a little bit of stiffness setting in. Get up and move. Okay? Along those lines, find opportunities in between lessons to look away from whatever screen it is. That's going to help with fatigue on your eyes. It's also just going to help with the mindset, with your overall feeling of well-being. We're going to be a lot digital in the next coming weeks. And so the more that you can analog and not digital, the better. All right, do something in between lessons to get up and moving and take your eyes off of the screen. Okay, so now here's where we get into the actual instruction time. All right. Okay, has anybody else had a hard time not touching their face because, oh my goodness, it's driving me crazy? Okay, anyway, sorry. Off topic. This is the actual instruction time. Realize that because the video is streaming live, your conversation is going to be different. Your teaching is not going to be as linear as it usually is. The student plays, and if you need to interrupt, then the student plays, and if you need to, and then you have a conversation, and then you try again. Your teaching is going to have to be a lot more segmented. Hey, student, play from measures 4 to 12, and stop. And that way, that gives you the opportunity to then offer feedback, because it's going to be really difficult to interrupt as the student is playing. Depending on what you're using and depending on the device, they may or may not allow for interruption very easily. They may not hear you if you tell them to stop because they are making sound on their end and they just simply may not hear you, okay? When the student is playing, be quiet. Again, the interruption of sound over the phone or over the device, you may or may not hear what you want to hear. You're going to have to listen very intently. And because you're giving them those shorter spurts to play, it ought to be pretty easy to like attune into what they're doing, and then to just give them feedback over that short span that you just had them play. Instruct the student. This is the next thing. Instruct the student to make notes that you normally would. So have them have a pencil. They should always have a pencil anyway, right? But have them take their pencil and write their own assignment. Like mark that exercise as an assignment for the week. Have them write in the fingerings. Have them write in whatever it is that you need them to write in that you normally would just reach over on the stand and do, or reach over on the piano and do. Have them write it. They can do it. They can pick up a pencil and write it. And you can do it too because you'll have their books and their music, and you can say, hey, in measure 43, make sure that you're playing that 1 and 3 bracket F sharp in the third beat or whatever, because there's an F natural. It's a woodwind speak. But you have your own applications. If you need a high quality representation of something that they're playing, so you have like a more advancing student who maybe is preparing for an audition or who is just preparing very difficult literature, and you want to hear them, like, what does that actually sound like? Don't have them play it for, work on it on the phone, but don't have them try to play it for you over the phone. Have them record it outside of their lesson. Again, because of the live streaming, you'll hear like weird little artifacts. You'll hear all of a sudden the sound will do something bizarre and then pop right back in. For conversation, we don't notice it as much, but for musical instruments, we'll notice it quite a bit. There will be a shift in tone, there'll be a shift in dynamic, and so have them make a recording separate from their lesson and send it to you during the week, and that way you can more accurately hear what are they doing there. And on that note as well, as far as the lag goes, or as far as like just the streaming goes, realize that they will not hear things at the same time that you speak them. There's always going to be a lag. There's always this transfer of information from your device to their device. And so if you are counting, for example, if you count them off, if you give them 1, 2, ready, go, understand that what you hear will not be on beat 1. There's going to be a delay. And what you're going to listen for then is, are they staying constant after that? Because they will not hear you at the same time that you actually say it as they would if we were in person doing this. Okay, I know this is different. I know this is going to be different, but remember that it is better than nothing. Okay, it's better not to lose that instruction time. If we can even get 50% of the quality of instruction that we would have in person, that's still a gain. That's still something to be improved. Like, that's still progress being made. And so remember that I understand it's not quite the same as having them here in person, but it is definitely better than nothing. So hang in there. You can do this. Have a great couple of weeks, everybody. Stay safe out there.